At this time, I'll call the March 6th, 2025 meeting to order for the Dixon County Commission. Would you please stand and join in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So this morning, Commissioner Kenny Rothfelson is out of town, but he is joining us online. So we will have all three here to participate in the meeting. And so we'll go ahead and proceed with the approval of the agenda. There is one item to add to the agenda, and that's in regards to the purchase of a 2022 Suburban. And I would move that we approve the agenda with that addition.
I'll second it.
We have the motion and the second. Any question or discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. The consent agenda includes the minutes of the February 27th meeting, also expenditures of $223,143.20, a hand check of $50, utility wire of $22,015.35, indigent defense, that is also a wire, that's $17,400, and then a security wire, that's $4,161.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it. We have the motion and the second for approval of the consent agenda. Any discussion or question on anything on that item? Otherwise, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Commission comments. Ron?
I did spend a little bit of time yesterday at the Juvenile Detention Center. Looks like we're going to have 7 new board members. There's 15 board members from 15 different counties that'll be serving on that board. Things are going quite well. Obviously, money's getting a little bit tight right now, so they may be requesting a different funding situation on their hands. So just a heads up on that. Obviously, expenses have gone up. Things have changed a little bit, but we're trying to keep it down as much as possible. And I did spend a little bit of time yesterday driving some country roads, and there have been some requests about some support of helping with a particular road south of Harrington. And I visited with Janelle about that a little bit. So that's what's going on.
Okay. Kenny, do you have any comments?
After last week's meeting, I attended the Corrections Advisory Board, I believe. Just want to double check. Yes. I should know this because I was voted into vice chair of that said board. Did not expect that, Janelle. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thanks. But I thought it was a great discussion. We briefly talked about the budget, possible cuts coming from the state. So we might have some possible funding cuts come to that board and trying to figure out how we can reciprocate those cuts if they do actually happen. Obviously, we have a lobbyist trying to make sure that doesn't happen. Because some of this money is going to a good cause. So I would be a little bit disappointed if it did get cut, but obviously we don't have any control over what the state does. Furthermore, the reason that I'm gone, I mentioned this in the work session, is my father is in the hospital right now down in Florida. I came down to see him. Things are looking good, and I should be coming home. I will be in and out, but I don't think I'll miss any meetings, but just wanted to let everyone know what's going on. Thank you.
Okay. I have a couple of Central Kansas Mental Health Board meetings to attend. One, I'm on the Finance Committee and also treasurer of that board. So we're meeting next Monday. Earlier today, from the Register of Deeds office, Rose Johns was in here and gave us an update and a report of what they're doing there at the Register of Deeds and a grant that the railroad had received and just lots of activity there. And of course, as we all know, that's, I mean, everything requires a great deal of accuracy, but especially when you're registering deeds and things that are submitted. I mean, spelling is checked, numbers are checked and everything. And so she does a great job there. Also earlier this morning, we had Patty O'Malley in here, and she also, Kat McKee was here, Cindy Whittington, Pat and Tessa Gutierrez. And they have put in a request for some opioid money that could be used specifically for their purposes, for some housing to help women. There's been discussion on that. There's limitations on what we can do with the opioid money, but this is something that would fall within those guidelines. So they're developing a plan for us to consider. And so we're gathering information on that. And that's most likely will be on the agenda next week for further discussion. And we do not have any other reports. We do not have any petitions or proclamations today. This would be the time that if a public comment, someone wants to make one either online or if they're here on something that is not on the agenda, this would be opportunity to do that. And I'll go ahead and have Janelle read kind of the rules or the guideline format for public comments.
Commissioners, per the Open Meetings Act, KSA 75-4317 and 75-4318A, as the elected board, the county commission is not allowed to meet or make any decisions without posting the meeting. They are only allowed to act on items on the agenda which they set. During their regular meeting, the county commission may allow for public comments on items not listed on the approved agenda. It is at the discretion of the county commission if they allow comments on agenda items. If you wish to provide comments, please come forward to the podium and state your name and address. If you are online, raise your hand and we will unmute you. Please state your name and address. Each person may speak for 3 minutes. The allotted time will start after the speaker has given his or her name and address. Public comment shall be addressed to the county commission only and not to the speaker or the audience. Only the county commission will be permitted to ask the speaker questions. The public comment period is not a back and forth discussion with the county commission. You should make your views and input known to them, but it is not a time to ask them questions. You should not expect them to respond to your comments. Comments may express support or agreement with previous speakers, but in the interest of time, please do not repeat the same information. You may state something to the effect of your name and address and you agree with the previous speaker. It is important to maintain a respectful, non-threatening atmosphere for anyone who would like to speak. Please do not engage in such actions as cheering, booing, clapping, insults, threats, etc. And
there's no one present here. Is there anyone online? And please indicate if you would want to speak or have a comment. So since we do not have any comments, anyone indicating they're going to make a comment, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item. Our report from our county officers and our county administrator, Janelle Dockendorf. If you'd give us your report, please.
Commissioners, the county appraiser advised they've mailed out the value notices last Friday and citizens have received them. In fact, their office has received a large number of calls. The highway department is building the bridge at 2980 Barn Road, and that should be back open Friday. And if you remember, 2 weeks ago, you approved the steel bids on that. They're also out blading roads. We do have an open position at the health department. That is our RN nurse that handles the WIC program. The director of emergency communications has been interviewing for a dispatch position. I also will be submitting a notice of intent to apply for a grant to install a transfer switch at Sterl Hall, that we can use that building in disasters. IT has installed monitors in the hallways for information for the public, and we'll have the agenda online. We'll have different weather notices. If there's something specific to an office, we can post information there as they're waiting in the office. And also just a reminder, March 3rd through 7th is Severe Weather Week in Kansas. So yesterday, typically they would have done the statewide tornado siren. Because of the weather, they chose not to. So that has been postponed till next week, but we will start with that every Tuesday at noon in all of our communities. So do you have any questions for me?
I do not. We'll go ahead. Our county counselor, Doug Thompson.
Thank you. I'd answered some questions from Janelle and reviewed some of that paperwork. I've also been involved with the recovery team out of Junction City and out of Abilene, and we're trying to work through that situation to be the most help that we can for those who are going through some very, very difficult times. And that's all I have right now, unless you have any questions.
I do not have any questions.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and go on to notices and communications. And about the only thing we did have, the county also received from the Dixon County Appraiser's Office the information on all of the properties that the county has. And we'll go ahead and let you have those.
Keep them, Jennifer.
And I'm sure
I'm holding for you.
most of you probably have received those also at this particular time in the mail for your personal properties or commercial properties or farms. And those went out last week. Ron or Kenny, did any of you have any communications or requests that came in?
I did
And
not.
occasionally people give a phone call or make a few comments, and but I did not
No,
have
I
any.
do have one.
Yes, go
Sorry.
ahead.
I should have gave this in my report probably, but I believe it was Monday evening. I was supposed to attend a meeting at Solomon, City of Solomon. Obviously, I was gone, but Jessica Gale from the EDC did attend that meeting. Oh, sorry about that. And it looked like they were, they gave us a very good reception, or I would call it a green light, I guess, to get a CID policy on their agenda for next meeting. So we're going to work on a draft in the EDC, or Jessica will, to be more specific, to present to them for their next meeting on a commercial incentive district policy or a CID policy.
And Jessica is here if you wanted her to comment, or is that just the preliminary information we need to know?
If she wants to comment, she's more than welcome, but I just want, if there was a little communication I got from her.
Yeah, I'll just add that one of the initiatives for the economic development on behalf of the whole county is that for our smaller communities that lack any kind of economic incentive programs, we're working to create something that's similar across the board because each community is unique, so it has its own advantages to recruit a business. But if, for instance, the community incentive district, the CID policy, is the same policy and procedure for all of the communities, it sure makes it easy for us to work with those businesses. And so we're going to be proposing slowly to each of the communities different incentive programs that they feel comfortable with and they think match what they would like in their communities. So things like the CID policy, the IRB, industrial revenue bond, and they almost all have a NRP policy. So the ones that are lacking, we're just trying to fill those gaps for them because we are working with Solomon specifically on some new business recruiting. We think that the CID policy is a really good one to start with. So we're going to work with their city commission and their county or their city attorney Martin, on getting that framework started.
Thank you. And that is helpful to have that information there. So when someone comes in, the structure is already in place, or at least they've had opportunity to think about that. And then I think, Kenny, from what you had mentioned, after you visited with Solomon and so on, you're going to reach out to Chapman or some other communities.
Yes, that is the plan, to go to really every community that is, that needs it, which is every community besides Abilene right now. So that is the plan right now.
Okay. If there's no other notices or communications, we'll go ahead and move on. We do not have any resolutions to consider. We did have under other business a conditional use permit And this is for the Withno Contractors Office. And Tim, go ahead and introduce yourself and give us the background information for this.
Tim Hamilton, Planning and Zoning. And this is going to be consideration of a establishment of a contractor's office at the corner of 14th Street and Fair Road. It's a 26.9 acre parcel at the request of Taylor Withnow. And the Planning Commission at their regularly scheduled meeting in February voted unanimously to approve it with the conditions as outlined, which would be as I stated earlier, the outdoor lighting be shielded or aimed away from any adjacent residential use, which based on where it's going to be located on that particular 26 acre parcel, that should not be an issue since there's no residences around there. Consult with environmental services for well and septic installation. Any outdoor storage materials must be placed behind either a privacy fence or landscape screening. This would not apply to vehicles. Building permit is required prior to construction. And like I say, there were no general public comments. However, at the meeting at the Planning Commission, Jessica was there to get support for this project. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
And the applicant is here also if there's any questions. Or when a contractor's office is kind of general, do you want to share anything more specific on what you'll be doing?
Also a storage warehouse. There will be reception, there will be some staff there. It's mainly going to be a storage facility, but parts, things of that nature.
Kenny or Ron, any questions?
I don't have it.
Pretty straightforward.
Well, we're certainly all for economic development, and it's appreciate your willingness to invest in our county and have this business opportunity. I'll go ahead and make the motion that we accept this conditional use permit 25-02 on the parcel of approximate 27 acres for the southeast corner of 14th Street and Fair Road. This is for Taylor Withnow's contractor's office and storage on that parcel of land. And we have the description here, and the conditions are, as Tim had mentioned, regarding the outdoor lighting, your well and septic installation being with environmental services, and the privacy fence, and building permit, which is standard.
I'll second that.
So we have the motion and the second. Any further discussion or question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. We'll have this signed, and Tim, you give him a copy so he has that. And we're good to go on that. So just one copy to sign? You don't want extras, just okay. We'll move on to, we had one addition to the agenda. This is for the purchase of a Suburban, and John, would you want to come up and just kind of give the explanation of this, please? And also where the funding would come from that. And,
Sure. John Holcomb, Director, Dickens County EMS and Health Department. This is for implementation of a community paramedicine program that we've talked about before here several times. We did get a grant. We were chosen one of 3 services in the state of Kansas. It's and there were 3 in Missouri that were chosen. Grant came through the Patterson Foundation in Kansas City. And it's a 3-year, like I said, 3-year grant process to get it up and going and implemented and seeing patients. We're in about halfway through year 1. They go based upon the federal calendar year. So, and having a vehicle is something that you have to have to work. So we did find a vehicle that suited the needs that we're going to have. And of course, it's much needed. We got to have a vehicle. We can't see patients, or go out and see patients and store our equipment. So we did contact locally and talked to Tim several months ago, and he's been looking and working and just yet to come up with anything. Felt that we did not need new, but we could certainly utilize a not so used vehicle. So, and we did find one in Manhattan that would suit the needs, and that's the bid that I provided for you.
And we need that size, like a Suburban, for all the equipment you have.
It'll actually serve dual purpose. It can respond to emergency if it needs to, so it'll have that equipment in there as well as CP equipment in there. So,
And then there's still money left in the grant
yeah.
to add equipment.
Right, there was in the grant, it was specific to, one part of it was specific to vehicle and equipment, and the rest was for personnel and other things. But yes, it's well within the confines of that.
Unless there's further questions or comment, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to purchase the 2022 Chevrolet Suburban 4-wheel drive 4-door.
I'll second that motion.
At 54.
And the amount on that was 54,403.
Yes.
And so,
Well, that includes sales tax, and we would take the sales tax off. Because we
I
would
don't
be
think it includes.
well, it's an administrative fee.
administrative fee, gotcha, okay. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'll second that motion, Lynn.
Okay, so we have the motion, we have the second. Is there any further discussion? Otherwise, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And Kenny, you're an aye?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anything else to bring before the commission? We don't have anything left on the agenda other than adjournment. I'd move that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
We have the motion and the second to adjourn. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.